Hello, I am John Martin. I would like to give an update on two articles that I've recently submitted and also to discuss some of the many applications of activated water, what I refer to KELEA activated water. Now the two articles, the first one discusses the role of self-adapted viruses, not simply as viruses that can infect the body, be disregarded by the cellular immune system so there's no inflammation, but emphasizing the ability of these viruses to carry cellular genes or bacterial genes as part of the infectious process. One of the articles focuses on cellular genes from rhesus monkeys, meaning the types of monkeys that were initially used to make polio vaccines. These self-adapted viruses have picked up cellular sequences of monkey origin and transferred them as part of the infectious process into people who are infected. The second article describes a similar process, but in this case the virus has picked up bacterial sequences. What makes this paper particularly interesting, some of the bacterial sequences belong to a type of mycoplasma called Mycoplasma fermentans. This is interesting. 20, 30 years ago, it was the rage to identify this type of mycoplasma in many patients. Some of the early studies were showing that this is a mycoplasma infecting many HIV-infected patients and attributed by several investigators, including Dr. Montagnier, the gentleman who discovered HIV virus, attributed to making HIV disease worse. There was also a doctor at AFIP, a Dr. Lowe, who emphasized again that having this mycoplasma on board may be making the disease go worse. Then that theme was taken up by other investigators who showed the same kind of Mycoplasma fermentans in most patients with the Gulf War syndrome, children with autism, patients with rheumatoid arthritis, and they went on. Now, that research tended not to progress because it led to testing antibiotics in these patients, seeing if the mycoplasma were infecting them, they could suppress the mycoplasma, but there was no clinical improvement. What the results of the paper is showing that there are certainly mycoplasma-associated genetic sequences, but they're not part of, or they don't represent the whole bacteria infecting the individual. Rather, these self-adapted viruses can capture what I talk about renegade genetic sequences, can capture these genetic sequences and then carry them along in the infectious process. But what it basically does is take that huge volume of work by these previous investigators showing the presence of mycoplasma type sequences in these people with various illnesses and reinterpreting it as saying this is further, if you want, independent evidence by other investigators of the prevalence of self-adapted viral infections in that wide range of diseases that I mentioned. Certainly HIV, autism in children, and we get into other illnesses, even amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, mycoplasma sequences have been described in that condition, and chronic Lyme disease. Now, with chronic Lyme disease, there's that additional evidence of a different type of bacterium, Borrelia, also being present. But the study showed both mycoplasma and Borrelia sequences in many of these patients, and I feel very confident now that the identification of Borrelia, a type of bacterium, Borrelia sequences in patients diagnosed as having chronic Lyme disease is again not an indication that the Borrelia bacteria are there, rather that self-adapted viruses are there that have acquired some of these Borrelia sequences. The next big message from stealth-adapted viruses is that they do not engage the cellular immune system. There's no inflammation. But what it does mean, the body has this alternative or non-immunological defense mechanism to fight off not only these viruses, but also other viruses. And this has led to discussions covered earlier on the alternative cellular energy pathway. And this work progressed to show that the energy, the type of energy supporting this alternative cellular energy pathway is referred to as KELEA, K-E-L-E-A, an abbreviation for kinetic energy limiting electrostatic attraction. KELEA can be transferred into water, and one can prepare water in various ways and show that it has acquired KELEA. But there's also occasional natural sources of KELEA activated water. The water is activated by where it's coming from, the minerals it's been exposed to. A source of that KELEA activated water is in Southern California, and what is noteworthy, there is more benefit from wearing waterceutical pouches containing this water than actually people accustomed to drinking large volumes of it. What we'd like to do is take this concept of pouches of KELEA activated water and begin to show benefits way beyond those in the medical field. It can be tried in the medical field for sure, but there's just as much argument that plants can benefit from this alternative cellular energy pathway. Also, benefits that if water is activated, it heats up quicker. It is much more efficient in terms of heat transfer. It can help correct scale formation and in pipes. There's a whole range of applications. Again, we can move even beyond the that area into transportation. This energy can go into both gasoline and diesel fuel and improve their efficiency. So we've published on this topic. What I'd like to see is a networking with people who could act essentially as ambassadors and take some of these concepts and help optimize the actual use of these pouches in these different applications. So that's going to be an effort on my part to identify interested people who may wish or may have expertise in some of these areas and may wish to expand the use. I really believe if something is good, everybody should be using it. If it's no good, nobody should be using it. But in this case, there's an enormous benefits to come from the use of KELEA activated water. One area that I'll stay more closely involved with will be the clinical applications, potential therapies for various chronic illnesses, promoting better healing of the body. But on the other fields, it would be terrific to work with collaborators with expertise in agriculture or in some of these industrial applications to see how far the benefits of KELEA activated water can be spread throughout the community. That's a brief summary. I will provide more details of the two publications in a subsequent video, and I will leave my email address for anybody interested in making a direct inquiry as to helping to evaluate and optimize the use of pouches containing KELEA activated water. Thank you very much.